Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final edition of ADP Chasing. It's been a long summer. You've been with us through the February debates of DJ Chark versus Adam Thielen, and now we're finally wrapping things up. We have a great show planned today. We're going to be going over our closing line value game throughout the offseason, as well as hitting on key news with the Cooper Kupp injury and Jonathan Taylor non-trade. But yeah, we'll also probably hop in a draft at the end, so be sure to stick around for that. Let's do it.
Pat Fryer-Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your site.
Jamar Alpha Play Chase.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally this boys. You're right.
Oh, great start.
There we go. Karain is that you're looking at a man who moved cross country in the middle of best ball summer, a man drafting Rottweiler teams.
A man who just timed out on a drafters draft and took Jimmy Garoppolo.
You're probably in one with me. We're chasing overlay. We're feeling good. Karain, you're probably not feeling that good. You're probably feeling beat to shit.
No, I'm feeling good, guys. Just finished my last BBM team. Gonna get that tweet out in one second. It took me a little more. Walk to the coffee shop. Got some cold brew. Got Brittany a ginger tea, and crafted a tweet with a bunch of stupid emojis in it. So you'll see that soon.
There you go. Can't
Amazing.
wait to see that. So you're all moved in to San Diego now? Pat, you getting settled?
I'm in San Diego. I wouldn't say I'm moved in or settled in. The apartment is completely empty.
Your audio sounds great, so it seems the acoustics seem really good, so that's kind of
the acoustics
surprising.
are great in here. Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that we talked to a realtor and said I'm gonna need a house with great acoustics. So let me I can actually, I'm not plugged into anything because it's on a laptop. So this is the empty apartment. It's completely empty.
Oh, nice.
There's nothing in it.
Incredible. Just extremely good vibes. I mean, I can't believe that your take was I'm going to win $2 million and then move to the least tax-friendly state in the union. And then also I'm going to do that on September 1st. Just really great stuff for me.
Hey, yeah. Well, when you win, you gotta make sure that you don't seem like out of touch. And so I just immediately wanted people to think I wasn't sharp at all. And so it's like I'm going to move during best ball season. And not only am I going to move to a highest tax state, I'm going to remind people that I was in literally the highest tax place in the entire country before that. This is actually a lower tax move for me because I was in New York City.
That's probably New York City is the only place you can move from where that's probably true in San Diego. That's
this was an upgrade.
We love to see it.
Well, I made the much easier move from Maine to New Hampshire, which is just a couple-hour drive. But this is my probably 6 different backgrounds I've had over the course of the ADP chasing off season. I gotta put some stuff back here.
Busy off season for you guys. I haven't done shit. I've just been same place. I've just been literally. I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but the sense of relief. I finished on DraftKings this morning and I finished on Underdog this morning. And so all I have left to do is these drafters teams. And that's overlay anyway. So if those teams suck, they suck. It doesn't matter. I feel a giant sense of relief right now. I feel great to be done drafting these teams.
I'm going to still draft some more. You're done?
I'm going to keep drafting obviously until kickoff, but it's all low stress now. It's like what's done is done. The flagship contests are over. My chances of winning $1 million, it is what it is. That's all done. I can just draft guys I like. I can just take Breece Hall. I can take Wandale in every draft.
That's what I've been doing, dude. Yes. Breece Hall and Wandale are on my final BBM team I'm about to tweet out.
Yeah. Wandale, honestly, if I could go back in time and do one thing, it would be telling myself that to not be worried about Wandale's knee and to just draft him the entire time. because I would love to do a final exposure tweet with literally 100% Wan'Dale, with Wan'Dale on every single team. Like, that is my dream, but I obviously was not able to accomplish.
You guys are going to be fine without the Giants' third string slot receiver. Don't worry.
You mean the Giants targets per route run leader?
Well.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's going to be a tough one for you, Sam.
Yeah.
It's 5:15 on the last show. Okay.
I just wanted to get a couple more bad takes off, but I think you're going to be okay without the 5-5 backup slot receiver for I mean,
Sam, he got recruited to Nebraska as a running back. If there was a way to analytically measure guys who have that dog in him, I think Wan'Dale might lead the entire NFL in dog per pound. Like
dog per pound. I mean,
dog per pound.
Who would be close?
Deuce
Tutu's not. Tutu doesn't have that much dog.
Tutu doesn't have that much dog. Deuce Vaughn is the other guy. Dog per pound. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might be Deuce.
I think Deuce actually weighs more than Wan'Dale. I believe.
Okay.
That's. Right. I mean, he must. He's 170 in Wan'Dale. Oh, that might actually be close. Deuce.
Close. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna guess.
Nice tight show already.
Nice tight show. I'm gonna guess. I'm
just stalling because I don't want to show this closing line value game. I fought hard with the lawyers to not have to show this because.
Oh really? I picked Brees on this thing, and you don't.
Yeah. That you did. You made the worst pick by far in this. Let's just get into it now.
I'm gonna guess Karain won. I'm gonna guess
Karain won.
All right, and I picked Brees, baby. Oh man!
So Pat did pretty well.
I just kept picking guys that I was taking, and the market didn't like. It took the market until the last week to start drafting Hardy and Tutu. But I think I nominated every 5'7" wide receiver I was drafting at one point.
So some people were just trying to give good picks and not just jump on the steam of players that were clearly going to rise in value. And some people tried to cheat the system and win the game, and that's how Pat got to 9% here.
So Davis, if you went with Davis, you invested in a very safe, treasury bond type of investment.
Yes.
It was a solid return. If you invested with me, I beat the stock market. If you invested with Sam, it was better than an NFT.
It was better than an NFT. What's so funny though, Karain, is that I was telling you this whole time, if you like Brees Hall in the third, you're going to love him in the fourth. And I ended up being right. I
love him in the fourth.
But the thing is now is that I am jamming the shit out of Brees Hall. Like when we started doing this, I was the Brees Hall bear. And I bet I had 2-3% of him, before what was even the impetus for him starting to go in the fourth? I don't even remember. It was just the Cook rumors, I guess.
He fell to the late third, but didn't really in the DraftKings. You could get him in the fourth during the Cook rumors. Then Cook.
I think the impetus for him falling to the fourth, was the Q symbol on DraftKings made him drop.
Sure.
Even before,
But then he came back up from there because I sat that fall out. I took some in the fourth on DraftKings, but I kind of cooled off because I was like, oh, this is going to happen. I can get even cheaper. But then Cook left New York and it didn't seem super imminent. He was going to sign or maybe he wouldn't sign. And he creeped back up and I dipped my toes back in at the mid third prices. But then once Cook signed, that's when he was truly in the fourth.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I just want to set I think some people in the chat are confused. So let's set the stage here. What we actually did is, I'd say in about half the shows from February until now, we picked the best value at the end of the show. And this is measured in percent increase or decrease, in my case, in ADP from when we made the pick till now. So this is not our entire portfolio. This is 12 to 14 players, I think slightly different numbers for each of us. So I would say that you should judge us as fantasy analysts purely based off the results of this game. This is a clear signal of how good we are at fantasy football.
No, this seems pretty good.
It's everything.
It seems like a good metric to judge people on for sure.
Yeah. So let's dive in. This is the overall numbers. I think the devil is in the details here. This is what really matters. So So Pat, yes, he got you some kind of cheap big wins, picking Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren.
That sounds great, Sam.
That was obvious, but he gave you the 2 worst picks in the entire game in Kyle Pitts and Breece Hall. So if you stuck with
Kyle
me,
Pitts, honestly,
you just stacked together a couple small wins, maybe a little bit more, couple small losses, but I was kind of the safer.
What the fuck? Why did you choose Kyle Pitts when everyone hates Kyle Pitts? There was what could have the only thing that could have gotten Kyle Pitts as a riser would have been if they traded for a quarterback. That would have been the only thing.
I think I had a couple outs with the Kyle Pitts one. I forget when I made it, but they trade for a quarterback.
I can check when you made it.
Yeah.
That might have been like an April one or something.
They trade for a quarterback. You're also at the time, he was probably going in the late 6th at the time. And he was a 3rd-round pick the year before. And he's coming off this injury. So I was like, he's going to be practicing, making highlight plays again. And we're going to return to the same hype that we had on this guy to some extent. If he jumps to the 5th, that's a big win.
Well, it did. Yeah. It did happen with some guys, right? Like Sky Moore, nothing really happened for him. Right. And he just returned to where he was going last year. As someone who has completed
the Darren Waller rise is basically what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Also, I should say quickly, sorry, Davis, I won't want to let you continue, but I didn't put this on this chart. But on this chart, red is me, sadly. Green is Pat, and purple is Davis. So that's how you shared that. But Davis, what were you about to say?
Well, I'm in this spot where I've completed 425 drafts on Underdog. I have $1,297 of exposure to Kyle Pitts. He is my 3rd most drafted player overall. And I don't even like him. I'm not even all that enthused. It is purely a profile bet on a guy who is so good and gets open so easily. But you don't have to tell me I'm a dipshit for taking him. I totally get how this goes wrong. Parker Hesse is out there. He's, Desmond Ridder sucks ass. The people have just made up their minds on Kyle Pitts, really, is I think what it is people just there are not good people on both sides. It's just 2 people who are totally entrenched on both sides of the Kyle Pitts debate.
I don't know, man. I think my read on it was once we got the preseason stuff of Kyle Pitts not running every route, then we all pooped our pants. That's what happened because we were all so nervous we were going to get burned again. That we're all just like, oh God, it's all going to hell. We're losing again on Kyle Pitts.
I actually do think it's going to happen. I actually do think it's much more palatable as a 7th-round pick than as a 2nd-round pick. Basically,
I think he's a smash in the 7th round. Yeah, I looked and I was like, man, I didn't have enough. I made a point in my last few drafts to target him because I felt like I didn't have enough. So
the
I'm
thing
not
about
that worried as a 7th rounder.
The thing about the Pitts preseason usage stuff is I think I would chalk that up as nothing. And I still mostly am chalking that up as nothing. The only small part of me that makes me think that is real is the knee injury thing for him. And he had that knee brace he was wearing. I think he's shed that now, but he wore that much later than what sort of the Twitter doctor consensus sort of predicted. It was flagged as sort of, this is a bit of a red flag. He's still hobbling a little bit. He still has the knee
maybe
brace.
They were lying about how much.
Yeah, maybe the injury is exactly. So that's what had me just a little worried on Pitts. I think I'll end up being slightly underweight him, but yeah, I definitely see I would not tell people that you're dumb for being in on Kyle Pitts this year. It's just not my favorite play with sort of the different concerns there. But anyways, a couple funny things here I wanted to highlight. Davis somehow scores a win for the Baker Mayfield take. That ends up being a positive riser in ADP value, which when I picked him, he was the quarterback 38 because people were still thinking Kyle Trask. People were thinking they might trade for Trey Lance. People were thinking they might trade for Tannehill. And I was like, no, dude, Baker is going to win this job. So I like that win there. Feels like actually, if I had to go through all these picks, the one who should be graded as the biggest win is Brock Purdy. The Purdy was a huge win because
I agree. Actually, that's green. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, Corain, you sort of saved me actually, because there would have been a chance that I would have been very stubborn on Trey Lance, and that I would have been like, look, dude, you play to win the game. What do you win when you win? Trey Lance in the last round on underdog. And just like, it's an example, I think, of something I really would have been stubborn on when I was like 27 years old, and I never would have been a Purdy guy, but I totally changed course. And before Purdy got really expensive, like Purdy, I have 12% of him across 425 drafts on underdog. But at one point, it was way more than that. At one point, he was my most drafted quarterback because he was like the quarterback 28. And that I was just like, that's just free money because he's the 49ers starter. Now that he's like the quarterback 22, I like it a lot. Like, obviously, his closing price, I think, is pretty close to efficient. But to me, that is one of the biggest wins. And I think James Cook, Sam got on that very early as well. He ended up, I mean, Cook is, I know this isn't a best ball show, but James Cook is just a middle of the 5th round pick in the main event now. Like, if you're doing a main event this week and you want James Cook, you got to spend a 5th round pick on him.
Well, if we're trying to win this game, I mean, here's a little bit of advice for my competitors here. We should be checking the high stakes drafts, the early high stakes drafts, and comparing those to underdog, because I think that's like a good way to figure out who's going to get steamed, right? Like, who are the high stakes guys on?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I will say the Purdy one, like, I do think maybe I should get double credit for that, because that's a Lance Faller pick too, and that was, I mean, probably we didn't do Fallers, but Lance was probably the biggest fall. Like, I mean, obviously Brees was pretty big too.
Okay,
it'd be fun to do this next year with Fallers and just be haters at the end of shows instead of pumping guys up.
We could play the Chappelle Show hate clip.
Yeah.
We actually deadass, we should do that. We should pick a riser and a faller. I think that would be a good idea. I think we actually, like, unironic, I think that would be helpful, because it could even be guys with that we might even like a little bit, you know. But it would be I'm not buying at this price. I'm gonna buy, I don't know, Jacoby Myers later after everyone has found someone else to be in love with.
Right. Yeah. Or you guys could have got me on Brees there.
Yeah, I honestly probably would have been. I probably backed up your Brees as a good pick take, so I can't even criticize you for that. I think
how is Michael Wilson not a bigger riser? I see that guy go in the 15th round. I guess it's just because he was an 18th round pick and 15th round is
it's not that big.
The percentage change isn't that big. That's the thing where, like, the Pollard thing, like, he only rose 8 spots maybe, or maybe,
but it's a huge percentage difference.
Huge percentage, yeah. Like the Penny thing, I got Penny at like 200, or maybe it was like 180. This is before he signed with the Eagles. That's when I had the Penny take. So he had to shoot up a ton, like 60 spots, and he still didn't even match the Pollard and Warren picks. But yeah, the other thing to keep in mind here, Pat has rankings where you can kind of influence the ADP. So he has all these kind of sheep followers that take his rankings and just draft based off that.
We are giving him the Leone critique of.
I don't think it's time to give me the Leone. Yeah. I don't think I'm moving the market. I'm not.
Yeah, no. Every time he made a pick, he just like shot those guys up in his rankings.
Put him 10 spots higher in my rankings.
Yeah, he was clearly gaming the system. So we have to factor. I think once you factor in all those variables, you could argue that I won the game. But it's tough to say.
Well, we need to factor in them a lot, Sam.
Feels like when did I can't see the color on the Ty Chandler pick. I assume that I made that one.
Davis, we both had. Yeah, we had a duplicate Ty Chandler. We both had that, and neither of us really got paid off, even though I think we should have.
That's such bullshit. Yeah. Ty Chandler is like the best pick after pick 150 now. Like, Ty Chandler faded. He like Neo in the Matrix. He faded Fournette. He faded Hunt. He faded all these guys. And Kene Nwangu, who was reportedly ahead of him all preseason, gets placed on the short-term IR. They claim Myles Gaskin, who, all due respect to our friend's friend, Laird and Gaskin go way back, but he is not an NFL running back. He really is subpar at it. Like, I just, and like, Ty Chandler is the answer to the Madison fade, which I think all of us are on. I don't think any of us are Madison guys. So, like, Ty Chandler should be going where, like, he should be like the running back 45. He should be going like after a chain.
Yeah, I have a rant on this where like we kind of, and I tweeted this out, so apologies for repeating sort of the same take, but we've kind of like figured out, or at least have good guesses on a lot of these running back 2 situations now, and people are still just like saying, yeah, let's just draft like Devin Singletary, who's maybe the 2 down only backup to Dameon Pierce, not even going to play on third downs now. Let's just draft him at 170 every time and leave like Rico Dowdle, Ty Chandler, Jerome Ford.
It's insane.
All these guys that have much more upside. I get maybe you can say their floors are a bit lower, but everyone's like Singletary at 170 every time, and let's just leave Rico Dowdle at 0.5% drafted in BBM.
I don't get like inertia is only powerful for like some players. It's like Curtis Samuel has been the wide receiver 75 to 77 for 5 months now. Like Sam Howell hype, McLaurin injury, none of that has moved him at all. But then like one poorly sourced Eagles beat report on Kenneth Gainwell made him an 11th round pick for like 5 days. I guess I don't really understand the market being so gung-ho based on some information and then not reacting to other information at all. I don't know if it's like the rankings that people are importing. I don't know. Do not know what it is.
It is strange because like some guys did, because at times I wondered if like the underdog ADP was updating kind of slowly or slower than some of the other sites. But then I don't think that's right because like Darren Waller skyrocketed, like truly skyrocketed. And that was one where it was just people, I think, being like, oh, he's healthy and he's the Giants' number 1 wide receiver. And that information was kind of like, it was one of those things where I think like the more casual people came in, they were like, I'm going to take this guy. Like, why would I not take this guy in the 5th? Like, but then some other situations where I feel like the case for a player role was super strong as well. Their ADPs didn't really budge. So it was sort of difficult. It was difficult to predict the risers overall.
Yeah. And then we didn't really have like last year we had the Jaylen Warren thing where he kind of emerged out of nowhere as the clear RB2. He shot up draft boards, I think, if I'm remembering right, to like the 14th, 15th round. We didn't really have that this year, even though I think we kind of got like, I guess people just don't want to believe in like the Rico Dowdle and Chris Evans stuff. And I get why you don't want to believe in that, but people seem to just not be buying like the camp news and preseason usage we were getting on some of these RB2s and just leaving them, for free in the last round. I kind of expected to see like, oh, once we get the information on who Dallas is going to use at RB2, that's a very valuable role. I think it's pretty clearly Rico Dowdle with Malik Davis, cut from the team and on the practice squad, and the market's kind of just like
Rico. I would take Rico Dowdle straight up ahead of Ezekiel Elliott in like any format. Like any format, I would take Rico Dowdle ahead of Zeke, but you can get him in the 18th round.
Well, that's the thing too, is like even if like I maybe slightly disagree on like straight up over, but then once you factor in that Zeke is probably going to be drafted in 95%, maybe there was like a 5% of window when he was unsigned and he didn't get drafted, but I think he's going to be drafted in like 95% of drafts, and Rico Dowdle is going to be like maybe 10%. Like Chris Evans is going to be like maybe 5%. Like these bets, like again, Chuba Hubbard, I think he's a pretty good bet. I'm definitely not hating on the Chuba Hubbard pick, but is like once you factor in team situation, like how many points are going to be available for running back on the Carolina Panthers versus the Cincinnati Bengals, like is Hubbard really a better pick in a vacuum than Dowdle, Chris Evans? Like I'm pretty skeptical of that. And then once you factor in the rostership or ownership, I'm like, why should I be clicking him over these guys? I don't know.
There's also guys. I think I think the Chuba Hubbard one is a good one because I was still taking him at the end. And I was taking him at the end because I don't think very much of the starter. And I am confident that he is the clear number 2. So that like compared to Chris Evans, like how confident am I that Chris Evans is actually the number 2? Like in a
Chuba Hubbard might be the 1B in Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. And that's big, right? You're almost getting like a Jaylen Warren type of bet with that. Whereas Chris Evans, like if Mixon misses a game, is it Travion who actually leads in snaps or Chase Brown? But there are guys, and the guy I would say is Kyron Williams, who, I was on my final team and was rested with the starters. And, we talked a million times how unathletic he is and everything. But, like, I actually feel confident that he is the number 2 there. And they've signaled all summer that he's the number 2. And we got reports from, like spring practices that he was looking good as a pass catcher. He gets rested all preseason. He's not the only guy, but there are running backs who I feel like have solidified themselves as like
Keontae Ingram's maybe another one.
Keontae Ingram is a really good one. Josh Kelly is another really good one. Like those guys are clearly.
No, the Josh Kelly thing is I actually think that's rational because Josh Kelly stinks, and Josh Kelly is. Josh Kelly
he's on the Chargers. He's on the Chargers. That's the thing.
Josh Kelly is a backup to a different position than Eckler. If Eckler gets hurt, Josh Kelly is not going to become a high-value touch god. There'll be 3 guys playing, and one of them got a little bit of preseason hype. I actually think the Kelly thing is totally rational.
Well,
okay.
I guess, but like even so, one of the guys
that makes me feel good because I actually didn't draft a ton of Kelly.
Yeah,
I drafted and Kyron.
I don't have a ton of Kelly either, and I get you can make this argument for Kelly, for Dowdle, for Chris Evans. I understand the argument, and I see a lot of people in the chat making it that like when the starter goes down, we don't know that this running back is going to become a 60% snap player and be the clear starter. I get that, but I think people are overconfident. That like again, I'm not hating on Chuba Hubbard, I'm not hating on Devin Singletary, but we're overconfident that those guys are going to have those roles when the starter goes down. Like this happens every year. Last year Melvin Gordon was touted as like one of the best
I can't even deal with the Melvin Gordon stuff because I just openly mocked people who bid on Latavius Murray in my main events and they got paid off. And it just like, I just remember being like, I do not know ball, bro. I do not know ball. I did not bid on Latavius Murray. I don't know ball.
Yeah. It's like the Michael Carter thing. Like Michael Carter and Melvin Gordon last year were touted as like, these are the best RB2s to take because when the starter goes down, they're going to have massive contingent value. Guess what? Melvin Gordon got cut and Michael Carter was phased out for Zonovan Knight, an undrafted free agent.
Who has now been cut.
All these RB2s that we're confident in now, like Zeke at 145, like that could completely fail if Ramondre gets injured. So what I'm saying is like, I get Chris Evans 100% can fail. You can tell me he has higher odds of failing than Chuba Hubbard, and I agree with you. But a lot of these guys like aren't going to be that massive contingent upside play, and I want to mix in like the expected fantasy points going to the Bengals and Cowboys running backs. If you're just saying it's too uncertain, I don't want to like deal with those situations, I think that's a big mistake in a tournament like this one. Like those backfields are going to create a shit.
You want to talk about something hilarious? Is that the signal for the last month of the season has been that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the Chiefs starting running back in Week 1, and no one cares. I mean, I don't even. I care in the sense that I take him when it's the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th round. But even I don't have the stones to be like he's going to get more touches than McKinnon, like even I don't really have the stones to put my name that. And I think, Sean makes this point all the time, which is that like Clyde stinks. Like he really does stink. So any production you get from him is all related to whatever the Chiefs decide to give him. And they could elevate Deneric Prince from the practice squad. They could elevate LaMichael Pirine from the practice squad. And I would expect them to get better results. But like, Clyde stunk last year and was the running back 8 in fantasy for the first month of the season, and the Chiefs were undefeated. Like, it was, or did they lose? Was the Colts game Week 3? It doesn't matter. Point being, like, the market just decides on guys' talent levels, and they're right about Clyde. Like, Clyde absolutely. I guess the thing about Clyde specifically is that you feel he has no chance to contribute in the 3-week sprint. Like, he will be he might be cut by the 3-week sprint, but he is going to be the Chiefs running.
That's necessarily true. Like he has contingent value in that sense. Like if Pacheco was banged up, like Clyde is basically he's very bad, but I don't think is bad enough to get like cut as their first round pick. Like they're gonna just see it out. He at least knows the offense. I think they trust him to block for Mahomes to some extent. Like, yeah. he's like, his talent's sort of like a tax on the opportunity that he will receive, but he's still going to produce, like, it's only like a 20% tax. So, you're going to get 80% of that opportunity.
He's going to get 12 carries and 4 targets against the Lions on Thursday night, and people are going to be like losing their minds. They're going to be like, how did we not know? And I mean, he's going to turn that into like 38 yards and probably no touchdowns, but Pacheco's been dinged. We don't even have to guess. We know for a fact that McKinnon is not going to get the work early in the season. Like no chance is he. I mean, he'll play third downs, but they're not going to do the gadgety end zone stuff with him to begin the season. I don't project.
Yeah, that feels like more likely to come on later in the year. We saw that last year. I mean, I made this point in our chat, like McKinnon was the RB2 overall from weeks 13 to 17. Like, he had this insane stretch. It kind of gets forgotten about because in the playoffs, Pacheco did get more carries, did get more targets, but McKinnon was still playing a bunch in the playoffs. He led the team in snaps in the Super Bowl. So I do agree with you, Davis, that I imagine they kind of want to rest McKinnon for the stretch run, assuming he has something left. And
they're just going to do weird stuff. I mean, they kept 7 wide receivers. Like, the Chiefs are going to be more annoying than they were last year. Like, however annoying you thought the Chiefs were for fantasy football last year, they are going to be more annoying this year. It's going to be like Justin Ross is going to play like 3 snaps, then he's going to play 35 snaps the next week, then he's going to go back to 10. Then Rashee Rice is going to play 11 snaps, but get 4 targets on those 11 snaps. Like, it is going to be a fucking nightmare. 7 wide receivers on the Chiefs, 2 of whom are awful in MBS and Justin Watson. Like, it is a nightmare, dude. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, let's move to touch on the 2 pieces of news we got since we last talked. Let's start with the Cooper Kupp injury. So he's, visiting a body specialist, whatever that means, in Minnesota right now to try to get his hamstring figured out. He has dropped in.
Don't want to hear body specialist.
That was like, I felt chills down my spine.
Yeah,
when I read the words. When I read the words, he went to Minnesota to see a specialist. I was like, that is what you hear before. Oh, we're actually gonna sit him for 3 weeks.
Not a doctor, a body specialist.
Yeah, what is a body specialist?
Yeah,
I mean, Cooper Kupp is he's a deadhead, so maybe he's like seeing like a homeopathic, like holistic, like chakra aligning specialist or something.
Maybe Alex Guerrero, is he involved in this? Maybe.
Oh God, I hope not. I mean, the thing is though, is that we have like demonstrable cases of hamstring injuries like ruining seasons for really good wide receivers. Like, hamstrings are what turned Julio Jones from Julio Jones into a guy who went to go play for the Titans. It was his hamstring. Like, it is bad for a wide receiver to have a recurrence of a hamstring injury.
It is. Yeah, the recurrence was very scary.
Okay, so let's frame the conversation 2 ways. One, where would you guys take Kupp? Like, forget best ball mania. Like, forget the leverage of getting him later when most teams got him earlier. Let's just say, like, you're in a home league with your buddies tonight. Where are you drafting?
See, home league, Kupp? I don't want to take him. Home league, your payoff is so low and the risk of ruin is so much higher. The spot I feel like where you want to take him is in the main event, is in these big tournaments where the payoff is massive. Your payoff is getting a mispriced player who can lead the position in points per game. Like, home league, yeah. I'm taking him after Waddle. That's my line is okay. wide receiver 12. Whereas I think I would take him still before Devontae Adams in, like, I'm doing a main event tonight and we pick at the 105. So there's like a fairly decent chance he's there coming back around in the second round based on what I've seen. Like, he doesn't get there every time, but there's some reasonable chance. And my guys who I'm picking with don't want to take him, but I kind of want to take him.
I would take him behind Adams at this point.
Yeah, that's I think what my line would be. Is it's very close to yours, Davis, but I would take Adams ahead of him because I think they both have, like, even without the injury, I think the systemic, as much as I kind of was buying the Stafford Kupp stacks this season, I think there is a lot of systemic risk with the Rams too. You can make that case for the Raiders, but Devontae just being healthy, I'm taking him over Kupp at this point.
Well, we're already starting to get the overall bad vibes, and I hadn't even pondered this, but the Los Angeles Rams do own their 2024 first round pick. That had not occurred to me.
The first time in 10 years.
That had not occurred to me until people started responding, because I sent a Kupp tweet yesterday and people started saying, actually I sent a Caleb Williams tweet making fun of the Cardinals beat writers, and people were like, no, the Rams actually have good beat writers. And I was like, oh my fucking God, that would be, for so many reasons, him going to the Rams would be a disaster for me. Mostly because
Wait, who going to the Rams?
Caleb Williams, that the Rams get the number 1 overall pick.
Oh.
Like I have a lot of Higbee. Actually, I guess in that world, Tutu probably sees like 113 targets. If the Rams are the worst team in the NFL, it is short king fall for the Los Angeles Rams probably, but it's really bad. I mean, Kupp,
I don't see like they're too good. Like they have Stafford, they have Donalds, they've got McVay. Like they're not gonna lose. I mean, they would have to like outright like obviously tank, like to beat the Cardinals and the Bucks to the first pick. Like I don't really see it.
I mean, I think it's probably hopium, probably from people who root for the Rams, because they know that as currently constructed, there are no outs to like this team as constructed can't win a Super Bowl right now. I guess maybe if Stafford like totally turns the clock back and plays like 25-year-old Lions Matt Stafford or whatever, but they're just so thin. Like they're the guy who shows up to your auction and does stars and scrubs, but instead of buying Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey, he buys Najee Harris and Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams like suffers like an old guy knee injury. You know,
this
like,
is the best analogy of ever. I mean, Cooper Kupp was sitting right there for you. You could have seen.
Yeah, I guess that's right. He's the guy. He's the guy who shows up to your auction draft and spends half his budget on Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. Like that is literally what that's literally what the Rams are. And so I think you're right. I think they probably are too good. But the point being is it got people on the doom thought of they just sit him out. He comes back. The Rams absolutely stink. He feels a twinge. And it's like the season that Devontae Adams got turf toe. I think he missed 9 games or 8 games the year he got turf toe, and the Packers were awful that year, and it just didn't work out. Like it's totally in the range. It is completely in the range of outcomes.
That they get the number 1. I don't know. It strikes me as very unlikely, just because like
not that they're that bad, but that they're bad enough that there's just like, why are we even playing Cooper Kupp? Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Okay, sure. I'm with you there.
Yeah, that seems possible. So just to nail down where you guys would take him, let's talk main event managed leagues because we're in that season now. You're on the clock, say pick 16, Devontae Adams, all those wide receivers are gone, and you have the choice between him and Mark Andrews at pick like 17.
Andrews. Not like without a thought, like clicking it so fast. Yeah.
Pat, the same page?
Yeah, Andrews.
Okay. What about then him versus Waddle, Olave, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, those guys?
I'm taking Waddle, but I'm taking him over Olave, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, all those guys, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm with Davis there. I would say in a home league, like the thing with the home league, I do want to think through like what can I not get later in a big way, and the idea of like I'm going to beat these guys like in a million different ways throughout this draft. So Kupp, I probably would take Kupp over Waddle in a home league, just with the idea of like if he's out the whole year, I can still win this league. And if he's Kupp, I've already won the league.
It depends, like obviously on your bench spots and your starting lineup. Like when people say home league, they normally mean 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, kicker, defense. But like my home league, we're all virgins, so we have 3 flexes and deep benches. So like I mean he was kept in my home league. We do 1 keeper, but like I would probably not. I would have taken Waddle over him in that setting. Yeah,
well, that's fair because in the shallow home leagues, like you can. I in a home league once I took McCaffrey first overall the year he was out the whole season. I still won the league. Like in those shallow leagues, you can really recover from one of your top 2 picks completely busting. So I'm just kind of going all upside. But yeah, in like the sharper home leagues, more starting spots, I think Kupp starts to get trickier because. They're already saying he's going to miss week 1. It just seems like a very, very risky pick at this point. So if you are in leagues that reward that, then make that selection. If you're in leagues that
I could see
you
taking
can just win. Yeah.
Olave ahead of him in in that type of setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Low
better
kind of
home
payoff, sharp
Ridley because
competition.
Ridley's also high upside, but he's not injured, right? I mean,
No,
I
I'm
get,
not taking
obviously-
Ridley over Kupp. I'm
No,
not
but-
doing it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either, but I could see, like, I wouldn't think one of my buddies is like, I'm in a deep league, whatever, I'm considering this, I'm scared about the Kupp injury, I wouldn't say you're an idiot for doing it. I probably wouldn't do it, though.
I wouldn't say that either. I get it. I wouldn't do it.
The better home league pick is Jonathan Taylor because generally running backs are overpriced in home leagues, and the waiver is going to be thinner at running back. Like, people are going to read they're going to read Daigle's 4-for-4 waiver wire column and know which running backs to bid on. Whereas wide receiver is just like, you're just not making up Cooper Kupp's points. Like, you could take Jonathan Taylor and, like, you could start Deion Jackson week 1. You could start Raheem Mostert week 1 or whatever, and Frankenstein RB it a little bit. But Jonathan Taylor, if Jonathan Taylor comes back in week 5 for the Colts or for whatever team he gets traded to because running back X suffered a season-ending knee injury and a team ponied up a second-round pick for him, I mean, and his cost is lower too. Like, at this, like, so in my home league, Jonathan Taylor lasted all the way to the 7th round, and I took him. Now, it's a weird format. My team sucked last year. I traded for a bunch of future picks. Like, it was the most obvious selection ever for me. But I do think when you're getting into the range of, like, 17 games at Cam Akers or Rashad White or 10 games at Jonathan Taylor, I mean, I think I do probably. It's just a matter of, I do think the true 17 game sit out is totally, like, I'm not taking Jonathan Taylor in best ball. I am not taking him. My last 10 or 15 on Underdog or DraftKings, I didn't take him a single time.
I only timed out and took him in a Rottweiler. It was a real. I don't know what's going on. The internet here is even worse than New York. I've timed out so many times, like every single draft I did before, like my last 2, but like probably 5 drafts in a row, I timed out at least 1 pick, and one of them was on Jonathan Taylor. One of them was on Aaron Rodgers when I had a Russell Wilson stack set up. It was, there's been some rough timeouts.
I've been seeing a lot of sharp drafters post that Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard stack, though. So I think that's an okay.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of sharp guys out there.
A lot of sharp guys doing it. But let's go back to Taylor. Let's have the best ball conversation on him first, because to me, it's absolutely insane. His ADP is still 42.
It's wild.
He's unpickable. He's unpickable.
It's awesome, though. Isn't it awesome, like, for guys who were taking Jonathan Taylor, that he never got super cheap?
Yeah, he hasn't even, like, come
so
around
sweet.
all the way of the board. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's priced to me like, okay, what if you just said Taylor is 100% healthy? He has no issue with the team. He's going to play. He's just suspended for 4 games for PEDs or something. I think that's basically what this price reflects. The price is reflecting like a 4-game suspension, no other questions, he's going to play. That's like not what the situation
that's right. That's what his current price would. That he's priced efficiently for that situation.
Exactly. He's priced efficiently for that, but there's way more uncertainty than that in my mind. So I think I don't know.
He might not play all season.
Yeah.
They asked for Jalen Waddle in the trade. Like, the odds of him being traded, we should view as like maybe like really low because they're
now
nuts.
Okay, I got
Chris
another
Ballard's
question for
petulant
you.
Press conference too. Did Andrew Luck have a good running back? Like, he was. I'm like, this guy's. I don't think this guy's pulling off any kind of trade talks, man. He's not a negotiator.
Okay, so the Colts open up the year home to the Jaguars, road Texans, road Ravens, home to the Rams. You know what? They actually might have 2 of their winnable games to start the year. I was going to say, what happens if they start the year 0-4 without him, the chances of him either getting traded because it doesn't matter or getting the contract extension are more likely. But I'm seeing now that they play the Texans and the Rams, so there actually is a chance of them being 2-2 when the pup is up, and that actually changes how I feel a little bit. That, to me, that makes it less likely that he is traded or that he receives a new contract at that point.
Yeah. My like, and maybe this is the wrong. It's hard to say like this is the median outcome for Taylor because it's so uncertain, but my sense is like he obviously wants to accrue a season. He has to get 6 games to accrue a season. These 4 games on the pup actually count towards that 6 games that he needs to accrue
as long as he's activated. Yeah.
Exactly. So if he is on the pup for these 4, I think what he's going to do is like get healthy enough or pretend he's healthy enough to play in like
enough, honestly.
probably
I think he's going to play in like 2 or 3 games and then go back to my ankle's hurt, I'm too injured to play. He can do that. Like he had an ankle surgery. He has like enough plausible, deniability.
Dude, he can say it's his back or something.
Yeah.
Like, he can do whatever he wants.
I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to play a couple games, like probably not full workhorse Jonathan Taylor. And then if he doesn't get a new contract, he's going to say, fuck you guys, my ankle hurts again. And I just accrued a season. So let's go do this again next offseason. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're right. I think my read on it now is that basically they were like basically like piped down. Like we'll talk about a contract after the season. Like play out your deal. You're a running back. We're not gonna. And he was just like, he kind of forced the issue, and they took an extremely ridiculous stance with the rest of the league that they wanted, $10 on the dollar, basically, and kind of did what we thought. There was some speculation right when the trade request, right when they said they were allowing him to seek a trade. Some of the initial speculation was like, this is all BS. They're not actually going to accept anything reasonable. And I think that was ultimately exactly right, that they were never serious about him getting traded. They were like, yeah, if someone wants to pay us something outrageous, and we'll certainly ask for things that are outrageous. But yeah, they're basically like they're kind of just playing hardball with him. And I don't know. I don't trust I think they're playing this really stupidly, frankly. Like they have a young team. They could have gotten something of value for a running back who's asking for a new contract, and they should have taken it. And the fact that they didn't just makes me, I don't know. I think this could go really badly. I think, he could play
the
2
fact
games
that it's Jim, that
it's
Jim Irsay just means like we don't know shit. Like this guy is one of the most like they traded a first round pick for Trent Richardson when Trent Richardson like looked like shit. Like
right.
Yeah.
That was a different guy. That was Grigson.
Yeah. Irsay might have been involved. I mean, the other thing is that
Irsay was involved.
Yeah,
other teams
right.
Other teams, I think this was reported that other teams, presumably the Dolphins, like were able to come to an understanding with Taylor that like if we trade for you, we'll agree to this sort of like contract. I don't think the reporting was that Taylor was asking to like have the entire running back contract be flipped on it. Like I think he was just asking for, top end money, but not like some ridiculous CMC level insane running back contract. I don't think it's that crazy that you could argue that the Colts should just kind of acquiesce somewhat to Taylor's demands. I mean, I think not having, either trade him or give him the reasonable contract that he wants. You're now putting Anthony Richardson, like a quarterback who already has a ton of questions, out on the field with, no running threats aside him in the backfield. Like that could be bad for his long-term development too. Defenses are just going to be able to cue in on him even more now with, Deion Jackson in the backfield. So I don't know. I think they really just butchered this whole thing. Either should have traded him or come to an agreement. I don't think he was asking for like an insane contract. They really just seemed like
it's a great point about what he's asking for, because that makes me feel worse about this whole situation, that he wasn't asking for something outrageous, because it's like one less thing that can change, right? If he was like in this position where he's asking for this huge deal, and then through this trade request it comes out that basically he's asking for too much, and now Taylor might have to reconsider. That's like, okay, Taylor reconsiders and they come to an agreement. But the fact that he's not is it's all in the Colts just like being dicks. And it's like, now I have to count on the Colts just magically decide to stop being dicks at some point this year, and I don't know why they would.
I want it on the record. Le'Veon Bell, his ADP, August 31st, 2018, was the 2nd overall pick in fantasy football. Like, people thought they knew. People thought like, oh,
I took him in one of I was like traveling or something that summer, and I was very tuned out from fantasy football. One of the few summers where I wasn't paying attention. I just went into a draft. I was the idiot that just took Le'Veon Bell 2nd overall, and then I started Googling him after like I saw the blurbs, and I'm like, wait, he's not on the team. Like, what did I do?
You went stars and scrubs with Le'Veon Bell.
I went stars and scrubs with Le'Veon. I showed up to the auction. I thought I knew what I was doing and took Le'Veon Bell. I remember I had to ship him off like mid-season, or no, I think I shipped him off before week 1 for a package of like Lamar Miller and Daniel Jones. Like it was so sad.
Some cost, dude. You get it. That's sharp.
Yeah. Anyways, we're in a draft now. We snuck into this thing with only one other badge, I think. We're taking McCaffrey here, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually, I think I had my last draft, my 150. I got Chase at 3. Which
mine too. I wanted to do because I realized I'd never done the Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson start, and I got a 3 in my last draft, and I was like, beautiful. And then Tyreek went right before, so I got a Chase start instead.
Beautiful.
So the way I've been, I guess, like, let's talk a little strategy here. We're kind of just doing this without talking at all. We'll figure it out. The way I've been playing the last couple of BBM drafts is I've been going with a lot of hero RB or like 0 RB drafts to take advantage of sort of the undrafted RB2s at the end of drafts. Lock up sort of my wide receivers, lock up an elite tight end, maybe an elite quarterback early on. Are you guys? We'll see what comes to us, obviously, but are you kind of on board with that general approach? Try to play this through an anchor McCaffrey build.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I still would take Brees at the 4.3 depending on how it works, but yes.
Okay.
That 3-4 turn, man, is just the 2-3 turn, the 3-4 turn, and the 4-5 turn are just they're just miserable places to draft.
We're just gonna put a couple guys in the queue that we want to have our eyes on later. Let me know if you disagree with any of these guys.
I can't fucking believe you drafted Alan Lazard unironically.
It's really can't.
Guys, okay. This is the position I was in. You know, I had Garrett Wilson, 3 picks past ADP value. It comes around to me on the turn. Aaron Rodgers and Alan Lazard are both staring at me. And what did I do? I said, hey, if I take Lazard here, I'll be able to push Rodgers around the turn, get him at a huge value. That's what I did. I don't know why you guys are so upset about that. I'm just building.
I have a piece of this team, and I honestly wish you'd been sniped on Rodgers. I really wish you had to come back to us and explain why this team has Alan Lazard and Garrett Wilson and not Rodgers.
Oh man.
And fucking Zeke, dude. It's like
30 picks past. You gotta take 30 picks. ADP.
No, I actually think it's fine. I think it was fine. Zeke was fine.
No,
I don't know. I guess I was just hating earlier on the show of like taking these gross RB2s and you can take the undrafted guys. But this was in a Rottweiler. This was not a BBM where I did this. Like, I want one Zeke share to hedge my full. I have actually like 0 Zeke up until that point. So seems all right. Davis is still pissed. Davis is never gonna.
I mean, you get them at like what 176 or something.
I am at this stage of the season. I'm ideologically drafting, so yeah. I'm pissed.
Well, if you guys want to recant your shares in this team, you're fully.
I don't.
I thought about it, but I don't.
Okay, so coming up to us here, we're gonna get a chance at one of the Smith Ridley T guys. Let's see what this drafter does. I assume we're taking one of the wide receivers here, unless someone wants to argue for Andrews, I guess. What do you guys think?
No, because it's this version of the team is worse than the Justin Jefferson, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson teams.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Oh well, we don't have that choice. So this is where I'd be.
Yeah.
I'm either Devonta to try to get Hurts, or we do Calvin Ridley. What do you guys think?
Correct, Devonta.
I almost always go Devonta to go with Hurts.
Yeah, let's go for that.
And then you tilt when the team that should not take Jalen Hurts takes Jalen Hurts. It
works about 40% of the time.
Yeah, this Cameron guy is going to take Mahomes and then Hurts. I can already see it coming.
I saw him an Allen Burrow in the last draft, and I had Jamar Chase and T Higgins. Someone went Allen Burrow.
The annoying thing is, like, you're going to be checking your leagues in like week 13, and you're going to see a team that took, Hurts and Mahomes. They have the same bye week too. You're going to see a team in your league that took those two guys and is like crushing you and advancing out of the pod. And you're
That's
gonna
fine.
be like,
Yeah.
That's fine.
this shit is so stupid. Why do we play this game?
But
That's
then
fine.
they take Ryan Tannehill in
Yeah.
round 18 to tie the room together. You can't even take Jimmy Garoppolo because he also has a week 13 bye.
So we'll
The
see
fact
what
that you know that is it's been a long summer.
I did the full week 17. My home league draft was this weekend. We always go back to Kansas City and do all of our stuff. And we take T.
Yeah, if this guy takes T, I'd probably be. I don't know. Jacobs, I can see arguments for Jacobs, Allen, or Metcalf.
I would take Debo.
I'm Metcalf over Debo. But
Have fun
let's see.
staying poor. I've been so JSN pilled. I was like so ambivalent on JSN. I've been full JSN pilled.
Wait, hang on. You told me have fun staying poor when I didn't have Metcalf. Now it's have fun staying poor when you do.
Okay,
It's called being.
my
Bayesian.
vote here is actually probably Josh Allen. Let's do. I would probably take Allen here and try to set up some Bills backdoor stuff.
Let's do
What
it.
you guys think?
Yeah,
I like it.
Well, we can get Deontay Hardy.
Yeah, you can get Knox. Knox is still free. I like Knox a ton. Hardy's free.
Hang on. I just love the idea of going around calling people and telling people have fun staying poor with no ideological consistency. And then saying, this is called being Bayesian. That's what
Strong opinions weekly held. Ever heard of it?
Oh man.
Strong opinions about your financial position weekly held.
I mean, I thought the Metcalf thesis was good, but the Metcalf thesis implies that JSN is not the guy need.
I don't know about that. So I think the Metcalf thesis is just 6'4", 240-pound wide receiver scores 15 touchdowns. And that's not that.
It's not 2015 anymore, man. We've moved on. Our wide receivers are 5'8", 180 pounds, and they got the quick twitch muscle.
I don't know. So like Metcalf though, that was like his thing coming out of college. Everyone's like, oh, he's kind of a one-dimensional wide receiver. He's just big and fast, blah, blah, blah. The wide receiver film bros are telling us that Metcalf can run a full route tree. He's really developed the past couple of years, like Harmon. Those guys love what he can do. I think he actually just ran bad on like really good opportunity last year. I think like Hayden, some others have pointed out, he really underperformed in touchdowns. I don't buy that DK Metcalf
he led the league in end zone targets.
Yeah, he's fucking huge. Like I think that's the thing. Like I get the Metcalf faders argument. It's like, you're paying a high price when JSN and Lockett are still there, but man, he's not leaving the field in two wide receiver sets for JSN.
Damn it! It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense that you're a Metcalf guy because DK Metcalf is the running back of elite wide receivers. Like that is he. And I didn't. One of my friends made that point to me this year because, of course, the guy who took Najee Harris in our league drafted DK Metcalf. He's always like the Zeke drafter, the not like whoever the dead zone running back is. This guy in our league always takes him, and he had this giant hard on for DK Metcalf when we were like, yeah, you just like him because he is the running back of wide receivers. And it's so accurate. He really is. I obviously I like DK Metcalf. He's awesome, but I have just been JSN pilled.
Yeah. I think he's been overpriced all summer.
But like in the order of wide receivers, are you just saying overpriced relative to other positions, or are there wide receivers that you think should
other wide receivers? Yeah.
Like
I would take Debo over him, but I think positionally he's ranked appropriately.
Debo is the running back of wide receivers. If you guys are giving me
literally,
that.
yeah.
I mean, literally, yes. Debo is in these formats where all the money is concentrated at the top and having fine weekly floors doesn't matter. Debo is such a guy you want because he could be the fantasy point over expectation god. I mean, he could lead fantasy football and fantasy points over expectation and has done so before.
Yeah. Metcalf, I don't think is like a true elite receiver. I think he's a good receiver, but he's on a team that's not going to have a ton of passing attempts and just added a really good receiver as a third receiver, and Lockett showed no signs of falling off. So yeah, you could get there on touchdowns, but like that's my bet in the third round.
Yeah. So here, let's go back to the conversation. But here, you guys get it with Drake London. He would be my
For
pretty
sure.
clear pick here.
Yep.
I like him a lot. But okay, like Drake London. Like Drake London could have a 30% target share in a true breakout season. Like
30% target share, 84 targets.
Yeah.
well,
but
that's actually kind of the crazy thing is that like they over the last 4 games with Ritter at quarterback, they weren't like super run heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Metcalf
they
like
were
saw.
right.
I mean, he saw
They were, like-
141 targets last year. Like that's a shit ton. I don't know. I feel like people have this misconception. Maybe it's because the raw stats don't look that good, but man,
No, so they
I
added
think,
JSN, man.
I
mean,
know, but
that could be a
you don't
real
think
problem.
the pass attempts are gonna like they're gonna run way more 3 wide receiver sets. I think the pass attempts are gonna spike massively in Seattle. Like last year, they literally had to put up like what D Eskridge and Marquise Goodwin to
Pete
get into 3
Carroll,
wide
though,
receiver sets.
they're not going to turn into some.
Yeah, but
they're
don't you
not
think
gonna
Pete
air it
Carroll
out.
just wants to? Don't you think he wants to just own Russell Wilson and like lead the league in pass
No.
attempts just to prove a point? That could be kind of a funny bit though.
No, I think Pete Carroll wants to have a Pete Carroll team. I think he wants to have a balanced team. Like not, he showed a different gear last year, but I don't think they're going to go like.
Okay, yeah, let's talk through this. I would probably be Kirk here unless we want to.
Kirk
no.
or Walker went. Yeah, Kirk.
Kirk, the
I'm
other
okay
wide
with Kirk.
receivers. Yeah, we're just
This
taking.
This dude fucking drafts Zeke. He drafts Lazard, and then he puts Najee Harris in the queue. I mean, are you just doing bits? Are you
Yeah,
you
well, he's
reverse
been doing
ideological
the whole
drafting?
time. I hope. We could also. Well, it's too late.
Guys, Najee at 51 isn't horrible. Pat, you've
If
never
Najee-
taken Najee in the
no.
5th round.
Because if Najee is a bad pick at 40, the context doesn't change. If Najee Harris or Cam Akers, it's they're
Najee
they're
Harris,
bad.
I
They're
think,
bad
was
picks.
okay in the 5th, but all the information we got in the summer makes me even squeamish there.
Yeah, fair.
He's bad.
I mean, I would mostly take Kirk. Like, I probably randomize that selection and take Najee. Like, I think I have like 2% Najee this year, and it is in this spot when he falls to the 5th. I get the Najee. I'm like super low on Najee. Like, had 0% of him for a very long time. I just think at some point, like, I'm just not super ideological about going 0% on guys. Like, I'll get to 1-2% even on guys that I absolutely hate. So that's where that's coming from. But I get it. I like going with Kirk there. He's a good pick.
Yeah. I think we screwed up that pick, but I'll explain why later. It wasn't because I wanted Najee.
He did want
Yeah.
Najee.
I kind of maybe know where you're going with that, but we'll see. Taylor's still on the board here. This is actually in my BBMs. Maybe it's just a small sample for me, but I have been seeing him get scooped up at this 41 ADP. This is one of the farthest I've seen him slide. I guess at some point would maybe have to have the discussion with him at 75, maybe 70. I'm still a little squeamish there, to be honest, but I think you can that's the point where you can start to make the argument for me. 75 at pick 40 is ADP. I'm like so far out on that.
Yeah, I'm very out at that. Yeah.
Let's look at the drafters here. The one other red badge in the room scoops up 3 running backs early in Barkley, Pollard, and Aaron Jones. Reaches on Addison
Man,
and
Aaron Jones.
quite a
Aaron
bit.
Jones feels like one of the. He just like it never occurs to me to take him really.
So
Well, the
here's
4th
Aaron
round.
Jones.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like one of the worst picks.
Kenneth
I'm
Walker's
sorry.
ranges. Kenneth Walker, I think we might look back on this season and be like, what were we doing being afraid of Zach Charbonnet for Kenneth Walker? Like Kenneth Walker is like such a home run hitter. And I mean, look, if what do you have, like 9 targets all of last season or something? Like guys can improve and get better. Like if he kind of like Henry, actually.
He was a horrendous receiving prospect, though.
Was
truly
Gabe Davis the guy who you were thinking of, Pat?
Yeah,
Or
Gabe
was
Davis.
that-
We should have taken Gabe Davis over Kirk. That was
No, we're gonna take Kincaid and Hardy.
That's actually why I think reaching for Gabe Davis is sharp, because otherwise you end up taking Kincaid, who's like the worst pick on the.
No, we don't have
come
to.
on.
I don't
Come
want
on.
to force.
It's a ridiculous price we're paying for Kincaid.
No,
So-
you
he's somehow
you
going
gotta,
up.
You gotta,
He's
you
like
gotta give
he's
up.
flipping
You gotta-
Joku right now. It's
You gotta give up.
it's
You gotta
nuts.
give up the ghost. Gretch actually wrote this great post the other day on Substack about like why we have to stop being afraid or stop like stop being afraid of rookies just being stars. And Reeves did a bunch of research on rookie tight ends and basically found like per snap, they were all just in line with where they were drafted. It's just some of them didn't get the snaps. And
yeah, that's
the
all
thing is,
those guys are just covering their asses. I'm out here saying, the steamy tight end who everyone thinks is breaking out, I'm gonna fade him. And if it's hurting me, it's hurting me. I have capitulated slightly and drafted him occasionally, but he's not a good pick at this price. He just isn't.
Yeah, so I think we should take Pickens here pretty clearly. Are you guys on board with that? 10 picks, ADP value.
Yep.
Would have been nice to have a chance at JSN coming back around, but that seems like the pick. So
we're setting up for a good Zeke correlation on this team too.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple things I want to talk through. So on the Davis, the research you pointed out by Reeves, where this is something we talked about, I think, early in the offseason, where that rookie tight end, and give credit to Liam here, he's talked about this as well. The rookie tight ends aren't good in fantasy take. The mechanism for how that happens is that there's a veteran guy on the team that blocks the player from playing snaps. Now, in this year, you have to be really careful for the rookie tight ends and looking at, does that player exist on the team? And that's whether you should decide or not whether to buy in that narrative. And for Kincaid, it's really tough, right? Because I think Dawson Knox pretty clearly blocks him from playing in 11 personnel. Kincaid, he had a good preseason, but he was getting absolutely blown up in blocking reps against defensive linemen. Like, I think Knox blocks him from that. So the question is, how much of this like 11.5 personnel do the Bills play with both Knox and Kincaid on the field at the same time? If you think that's their base offense, they're going to play that a ton. I think Kincaid can pay it off,
one of the ADPs has to be wrong. Either Kincaid's or Hardy's has to be
Hardy's is wrong. Hardy is a smash.
I think Hardy is a complete smash. I'm actually looking at his Wikipedia page right now. He is way better than I remembered. He played.
Hardy's good. He's good. He's super fast.
Let's talk through this, guys, quickly. I do think if we're going with a more hero zero RB, getting okay, Pat. I would be Goddard here because we have Devonta. I kind of like betting.
I would take Kyle Pitts if this was my team.
I'm fine with Goddard. I don't mind doing the Eagles thing.
Okay.
The thing is that
I'd be on Goddard here too. So
Pitts gives us the round 18 quarterback stack, so we don't have to fuck with it.
This was a way for us to not have to take Dalton Kincaid by sneaking this Dallas Goddard pick in.
Yeah,
we still need to take Kincaid. We're gonna.
Well, it's a reason. It's actually the way I look at it is we can take Kincaid now and have him do what he's going to do, which is very little for most of the year, and then score some touchdowns in the playoffs, which is how Liam's going to get there and shove it down my throat on this stupid fucking take.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting, like the Josh Allen drafter. Again, I'm not like one of these people that thinks focusing on uniqueness matters that much in these things, but I do think like just betting on the Eagles offense being awesome when you don't have Hurts is kind of tough to do, but you can do it when you have Josh fucking the Eagles can smash and the Bills can smash, and we can be in a great position with Allen.
I do like that conceptually, taking the teammates of the other elite quarterbacks when you have the elite quarterback.
Exactly.
It just gets you into weird parts of the game tree. I do agree with that 100%.
Because if we were throwing out sort of a limp dick quarterback trio of like Brock Purdy, Desmond Ridder and whatever, Kenny Pickett, I would not do this because then it's so thin that we can compete with like an Eagles smash week. But when we have Josh Allen, I think we totally can. And we totally can with Josh Allen running in like two.
Yeah, we need Josh Allen. It puts you in a spot where maybe Diggs has like 4 catches and Gabe Davis only scores like 9 points or whatever because Josh Allen went new as a rusher. I mean, I don't think it's optimal. Like, I don't think that's the best strategy you could do, but I do think it's a fine thing to do.
We'll get our Bill stacks. Like, Kincaid. I mean, Kincaid's not totally out of play if he falls past ADP. Knox is very much in play.
I think we probably should take him.
We're taking Kincaid ahead of ADP.
Yeah, we're taking Kincaid ahead of it. We need the correlation. We do. We need the correlation.
Do we? But why? I mean, you can get correlation with Hardy.
You literally do need it. We could take both of them, and then we'll
take both.
Okay. I mean,
it's touchdowns, man. It's ultimately this is a week 17 tournament. This is a Week 17 tournament.
Okay.
We need his touchdown partners.
I don't hate the Kincaid Goddard pairing at tight end and being done. I think that's totally fine structurally. But are you guys saying at pick 99 we take him? Because I'm kind of out on I think we're gonna have
What's his ADP?
players. It's 117, so we'll have a chance.
No, we'll
at
take him in the
10th.
10th.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him in the 9th.
Yeah.
Have fun staying poor.
Yeah, let's see what else is in the 9th. If there's anything I like in the 9th, I think we should do it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, come on. Knox is going to run. I mean, maybe he's not going to run more routes, but in any given week, I don't think Knox versus Kincaid is that crazy of a discrepancy that we should reach for Kincaid when we still have the Knox and the Hardy.
Well, the other thing, I wrote about tight ends in this offseason, and it was kind of shocking, how many of their touchdowns come on play action. And that's why the run blocking stuff matters. If he's getting blown up in run blocking and they're doing play action stuff around the goal line, then it's Knox who might be the guy who gets there on touchdowns. Knox might be the guy who scores that Week 16 touchdown. That
Josh Allen can also throw 50 touchdowns. They can both score 8.
That's true.
That's very firmly in the range.
Kyle Pitts, Kyle Pitts might come all the way around to us, which would be wild. I think that would be
a podium pick.
That would be a podium pick because also we can stop talking about Kincaid.
Yeah, and we also have London, which I actually like them correlated at these prices.
No, I actually hate it. There we go. I actually hate taking Pitts and London together on the same team.
Oh god, Rashad fucking White.
Rashad White, I think, is the good pick here.
I would be Connor over White, but I'll be happy.
I would take Brian Robinson because he's on the 0 RB list, but structurally running back, we do need one.
I think White over Robinson.
Okay.
You haven't been Sean Tucker pilled?
I think Sean Tucker could, but I've taken him some in the last round, but they've really given no indication that White's at risk of losing the job to Tucker.
I only take guys on the 0 running back list, to be honest.
Everyone hates James Conner, and I kind of get it, but White versus Conner is at least I think there's outs to the Cardinals having good quarterback play at the end of the year if Kyler comes back. I know there's a lot of conversations around that. There's some uncertainty, but the Cardinals starting running back at the end of the year, I think is going to be way more valuable than Rashad White. He's going to be a healthy scratch on game days for Sean Tucker and Keyshawn Vaughn. So. I think Connor could be more valuable there.
It's possible for sure, but I just think 12 picks past ADP or whatever, and you're getting a starting running back who catches passes and is entering his second year. That's kind of a no-brainer.
That's totally fair.
Levitan just tweeted that the Falcons beat writers Josh Kendall said that he thinks Pitts is going to be 4th on the Falcons in targets.
So. I think we should go Bateman or Burks here.
Burks is better for setting up a secondary stack if we care about that, but it's the same bet.
I kind of randomize these. Do we have
Let's
any
do
other?
Burks. I do a lot of Bateman, but we don't have any reason to be on Bateman here.
That's fair. Yeah,
we're strong at wide receiver.
Burks is back practicing. Yeah, I think that's a true toss-up on that one. I think those are the 2 best picks in that range by far. It's crazy the drop-off at wide receiver after those 2 go. You go from Bateman and Burks, which I feel so good about, to Dobbs, Odell, Boyd, Juju. We're lucky to get one of those guys coming around. Okay, so through 9 rounds, pretty balanced build.
Yeah, we're drafting a good team here.
This is a very, very good team. This gives us flexibility to do a lot of different things. This is a team that could be a 7 wide receiver team. This is still a team that could be, a 5 running back team or a 6 or 7, even if we really wait on it. It's a lot of flexibility here, so this will be interesting.
I'm starting to get Kyle Pitts heebie-jeebies just so bad. The beat writers, who would even be 3rd in the pecking order if it's not. So London and Bijan, sure, whatever. But who could possibly get more targets on that roster than Kyle Pitts? What could that beat writer mean? He thinks Mac Hollins is going to get more than Kyle Pitts?
So wait, did he say the beat writer said he could be 3rd in targets?
This is the full blurb from Josh Kendall, who is the Atlanta Falcons beat writer. Where should I draft Kyle Pitts in fantasy? Not high unless you like to live dangerously. For starters, Pitts is coming off an injury. Head coach Arthur Smith said last year that Pitts was a better overall player than he was as a rookie. What Smith means is that Pitts could be used in more places that didn't necessarily lead to targets. That's good for the Falcons, bad for fantasy. I don't see Pitts being any higher than 4th on this team in targets. Plus, he still must prove he's healthy after last season's surgery. I guess the 3rd is Patterson. So the 3rd, you know what? Actually, Kyle Pitts can still pay off with 80 targets if he scores, but that it's like now I'm coping now.
That I can't. That is such a pessimistic from the beat reporter saying 4th, and because that means Bijan.
He has to mean Patterson.
Yeah, but even just saying 3rd would be bad because that like Bijan being a lock to out target Pitts would be really bad because how many targets is Bijan going to have? Not like we're hoping 100 plus targets for Pitts. Like I don't think Bijan's getting to 100 targets. So. Man, that's
it's
a
not
wild
what you
report.
Want to hear.
It's wild report.
Almost all these beats are terrible at projection stuff.
Yeah. I don't really put too much weight in that. I put more weight, honestly, in the preseason usage, the injury concerns. That's why I'm hesitant on Pitts this year. I don't put a ton of weight in that. But this is what is true. Week 1, lock in that Mac Hollins is going to have a higher route rate than Kyle Pitts. And I think he will for the whole year.
Of course.
Lock it in.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, right? Like Mac Hollins never gets drafted in these. There's going to be a lot of weeks this year where Mac Hollins out targets Kyle Pitts. I'm not saying anything
probably, but he doesn't have tight end eligibility.
I know. I'm just saying, like.
Well, we are now making the Ertz Gerald argument for Kyle Pitts, which, fuck. Can I get a do-over? Underdog, can you just refund? Can I refund my 150 and actually just do this over again? Can I just start over with 3 days left to go? All right, put him in the queue. But whatever the opposite of roll the clip is, get ready to do the opposite of rolling the clip.
Yeah. What's the opposite of run to the podium?
Yeah, slink away. We're slinking away after making this selection.
All right, should we consider Allen Lazard here? Week 15, he's playing against the Eagles, I think. What do you guys think here?
Dude puts Lazard and Odell Beckham in the queue. I mean,
This
find
is like,
someone.
You're like a little kid. You gotta go like over to like the relative that you don't really know, and you just got your mom's like pulling you over. Yeah. So
the only thing I consider here is the Warren pick is pretty nice.
No.
Just take him, dude.
Just do it.
Put me through this.
And then we're gonna take a chain with the next pick, and then our team is so fun. We got our second running back 30 spots after Rachaad White. I am like Crane. I went back and watched some of Chain in college, just because I watched a lot of Texas A&M, but the way they used him is so goddamn encouraging. Like a lot of running backs his size in college, it's all like they post these crazy video game numbers, but you go back and watch and it was all no one's near them. They get the ball in acres of space. A linebacker doesn't even have a chance to see them. A Chain at Texas A&M is just like, okay, we're playing against Alabama. Just run right between the tackles. Just like we like just get after it. You know, like it was just like you are a real running back. He handled. So like the season I always remember is the Philip Lindsay one where that's kind of how like Blair Andrews got turned on him, a small running back, but really high dominator rating. 93% of the running back touches for an SEC team in 2022. I mean, that is, if that, I tweeted this today. If he was 206 pounds, I think he would be going in the 6th round of drafts. Yeah, honestly, I really do.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So let's talk through these running backs. I would probably have them ranked in this order.
We do not need week 1 per points. If we need.
Or no, I think A-Chain is what
A-Chain for me.
You guys are both on A-Chain? Okay. I'd be Bigsby here, but that seems reasonable.
Can we just we need to, before we move on, Sam put Elijah Mitchell in the queue on a Christian McCaffrey team.
It's actually fine. I actually think that's completely fine.
This is worse than Lazard, but you guys are nuts. We're hand-cucking in the 11th round?
No. I was mindlessly going through running backs I liked. I wasn't thinking
the best ball data on the hand cucking The data that we do have it is overwhelmingly good for advance rate.
Handcucking is probably good, but I don't know about
this cannot be
McCaffrey.
good. The 103 to take a guy in the 11th, there's no way that can be good.
Hear me out. I actually think it's maybe optimal for McCaffrey specifically, because if this stuff is true about them, like there was that report last week about them resting him or giving him more time off than they did the year before, and Jordan Mason and TDP have been super, they just like incredibly average in this preseason. I actually think you might get games where the 49ers run so much, you might be getting points from both of them. And then, there are going to be games where they're up 20 points or whatever. The Rams games, you think Elijah Mitchell might get 18 carries in the second half against the Rams?
That stuff can happen, but you're paying so much for McCaffrey. Like, you're kind of already losing.
So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it over A-Chain or Bigsby. But Jamal Williams versus Elijah Mitchell on in this spot, you could talk me into it.
If he fell like a full round past ADP, I would definitely consider it. I think that the thing that's also interesting, Pat, is our specific build. If we went bimodal running back or whatever we're calling it, I would not want Mitchell as just like our fourth running back on a McCaffrey team. But this is a McCaffrey team where we're going to have 5, maybe 6 running backs. I think at that point, you can talk me into it more where Mitchell can contribute as just like an RB2 in some weeks where White and A-Chain bust. I think it has to be after ADP for sure. But I'm not super ideological about the handcuffing. I'll do it. I think also
I'm not that ideological about it either. I just I take 2 Eagles running backs a fair amount. I'll take Swift and Penny. I'll take the 2 expensive and Penny. Ones.
Yeah. I'll take I take Gainwell with both of them.
Exactly. I'll take any combination of 2 Eagles running backs. I'll take Herbert and Roshan together. I'll take A-Chain and Mostert. I'm not all that ideological about.
It's just a rebuke of the price of the combined price.
Yes.
We've made a massive bet on Christian McCaffrey on this team.
I think we're all
against that.
Yeah. I do agree. The one thing I would say, and this is very 2020 fantasy before we even knew anything though, is it's let me tell you a story. Christian McCaffrey misses week 15. You have Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell scores 27 fantasy points. You're the only one with McCaffrey in the semifinal. Then you're the only one with McCaffrey in the final. And that is very 3 years ago. We know better than that now, but still.
Yeah. I think there's some having players that are very inversely correlated to each other on a weekly basis is kind of interesting at the running back position, right? Because you want that effect where if one of your guys busts, the other guy is going to be awesome. That's kind of an interesting thing. But anyways, Algier here I think is interesting.
Algier I actually think correlates really well with Pitts and London, because it means a lot of the scenarios where Algier's crushing means that Bijan is injured probably. Either injured or doesn't have the role. Yeah.
The offense is good. We just want the Atlanta offense to be good, right? For Algier to pay off, you probably need a Bijan injury, but you just want Atlanta to be firing in all cylinders. So I think that's that. I really do like that running back wide receiver correlation there.
If they're scoring points, both guys are paying off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So our next pick, we do have a chance at the Pickett stack if we want to be done at quarterback. We have plenty of outs though with Burks and
we're taking Ritter now. We're taking Ritter.
Yeah, so we could. I like the Mingo pick at this price.
I like that.
Let's see what else. If you want to scroll farther, these are probably the other wide receivers.
This is right about the range where I just start. This is about the range where I just start scrolling to guys I like.
Yeah. I actually
when the top of the queue is Higbee, Thielen, Pickett, Zeke, I'm just it doesn't matter anymore. I can just take whoever I want.
So we have the mini Carolina Jacksonville thing with Mingo. He is the highest.
I would say Spears or Mingo. I don't care which one.
Let's do Mingo. I think we can wait.
We can push the RB5, right?
Yeah, I think we can push the RB5. Mingo. So Mingo is one of the losers I took in the ADP value game. I want that on record.
That feels unfair.
You should have gotten paid off on that.
The market, what do we like? Chark is injured already, and then Bryce Young looked pretty good in the preseason. it was unfortunately Adam Thielen targets, not Mingo targets. But I think Bryce Young's gonna be able to play a little bit. I think Mingo's like pretty clearly the favorite to be the leader in targets by the end of the season. So yeah, he's a guy. I get that his prospect profile is not perfect. He was injured. There's some weird stuff going on. He's a freak athlete, theoretically a really good yak guy. His target competition is absolute dust. I don't get why he's hovered at this like 150 range all offseason. I think he's my highest exposure wide receiver. Actually, I've been hammering him.
Mingo
I
is.
think
Yeah,
he's a smash. He's an absolute smash. I don't understand why there was never any hype for him.
Because he's a shitty prospect.
He was not a great prospect. That's
You
true.
know what's funny is my highest exposure wide receiver is also a shitty prospect who is just going to get playing time on a shitty team. Michael Wilson is my highest drafted wide receiver. What a fucking heel turn for me on Michael Wilson to go from Greg Dortch, Short King Summer to my most drafted wide receiver. But one of my
That is
other
wild.
most drafted wide receivers is another bad prospect, but on a good team, Rashee Rice. So I get it. I would be speaking out of both sides of my mouth if I was like, oh, you got to scoop up Rashee Rice and Michael Wilson, but you can't.
And
take
look,
Mingo.
I think Mingo was a better prospect than both of those guys. When you look at these wide receiver prospects, like there are ways.
I think he was too. Yeah.
It's like, how can this guy kind of overcome the red flags? And Mingo has size and elite athleticism.
Yeah,
Like,
but
he's
so does
kind of
Wilson.
the better version.
Wilson
of
has
Michael.
both of those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
but
not
but
elite.
but
And
he
he's
went
a
to
good
he
athlete.
went to
He's not elite.
He went to an SEC school. Like it is
Right.
different. It is different.
Yeah, big time program. He flashed a little bit. He's got this yards after catch skill set that the team's really excited about. They're playing him.
Mingo.
It sounds like at the Z, which is going to be, giving him routes that are going to be conducive to yards after catch, not making him like the big bodied X deep threat guy. They're going to be getting him on stuff that's a little bit more interesting where he can utilize that athleticism post catch.
Mingo and Rice are just so goddamn lucky that they declared the year they declared when every other wide receiver was short. They like these are we're talking about the most round 6 wide receiver prospect profiles of all time, but they both got huge draft capital just because their bodies were larger than the other wide receivers in their class.
Yeah. I mean, Mingo had an unreal athletic profile. I think he was like a
Yeah.
9.9 on the RAS score. Like, yeah.
He's a big dude and he ran a 4.4.
He's
and
definitely a
40-inch
boom. He
vert.
definitely fills into the boom bust profile of wide receivers for sure. But like, I just think the situation, like, how is he not going to get routes on this team? That's where I'm like, the floor seems pretty safe. Like, he's not going to not be playing unless he's injured.
I've never seen this before, but Jonathan Mingo's RotoViz box score scout. I've never heard of a single one of the other guys who are in his sims. I've never heard of Jamal Custis or Dontavia Bogan or Terrence Tolliver. I do not know who these guys are.
Honest to God, this is where I take Hubbard. I just take Hubbard here.
So
this is where I start looking at Clyde.
Dude,
but we actually don't need Clyde.
I would take Alec Pierce over these other receivers.
You don't think DPJ is just a 2 wide receiver set starter in Cleveland?
Yeah, okay. I'd be okay with him.
Are you okay
I
with
would
that,
probably just take
Davis?
Hubbard, to be honest.
These are not a single one of these guys I have ever taken. Pierce, I guess, with Richardson. These guys just don't even show up preloaded in my
yeah, they're not in my app.
Yeah, I'm trying
Isaiah Hodgins, dude, put a fucking star on it. I would take Wandale straight up over Isaiah Hodgins.
We're not taking. I let you guys get Rashad White. We're not taking Wandale on this team. I'll let you take anyone else besides.
I didn't want Rashad White. I don't like Rashad White. I've been Tucker pilled.
We should probably get a
real
running back
quick on
here. Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
Okay, good. Suwan pushed back on the idea that Rice was a worse prospect than Mingo. With Rice's prospect profile doesn't include that he was on the Chiefs. That's not a part of his prospect profile.
See, this guy saw me put Parker in the queue, and he said, "I got to scoop him up at 168." He knew I was gonna try to.
Let's take Ty Chandler here or Hubbard.
We honestly probably should. Yeah, we probably should have taking Parker for the Bills correlation there. Actually, probably would have been the play. As gross as it is. Oh well. Yeah, Hubbard. If Hubbard goes, any of these other running, I think we can just scroll at running back here. I don't want to take Singletary. I don't really want to take Jeff Wilson. All right, we don't even have to have that conversation. Let's lock in Hubbard.
Oh, okay. Once I put in his draft slot, I get Mohamed Massaquoi, Chase Claypool, Cody Latimer, Brian Robisky, and Josh Huff. So we're back on track. I've heard of those guys at least.
I remember Brian Robisky.
I actually have not looked at this for Michael Wilson. I wonder if I'll get if anyone close comps to Michael Wilson.
Trying to think who might pop up for Michael Wilson.
I'll tell you if any when it populates, I'll give you a chance to guess.
Cody Latimer would have been a good guess for Michael Wilson.
Yeah. Okay, Michael Wilson. What was his draft slot? Draft slot 94th overall. All right, it's populating. But without draft slot, there was none of them. Yeah. Which is a good sign that a player was probably overdrafted if the draft positioning is needed to generate any comps. Actually, okay, there are some good ones here for Michael Wilson. There's
guess?
one. I'll give you a hint. You'll get it immediately. This guy went to the same school as him, and they were both selected with the same pick in the NFL draft. They were both picked 94 overall.
Out of Stanford?
Stanford.
Haven't been very, and it's not Arthega. It's not Arthega Whiteside.
I thought he was USC.
No. Arthega Whiteside was Stanford because he scored 14% of the team's, 14% of JJ Arcega-Whiteside's final season targets were touchdowns because he only got targeted like 43 times.
Who came out of Stanford?
It's shocking because we don't remember him this way, but it's Ty Montgomery. We don't remember Ty Montgomery being big because Ty Montgomery is small for a running back, but he's huge for a wide receiver.
That's interesting. My guess was going to be Dante Pettis.
Austin
Pettis.
Pettis.
Austin. Okay, Pettis. Partial credit.
Josh Palmer and actually.
That's a good one.
Riley Cooper and Deshaun Hamilton are two that totally make sense to me. Now Cooper ended up out of the NFL because he's a bad person, but Deshaun Hamilton I actually kind of liked back in the day. He couldn't stay healthy, but he earned a bunch of targets as a rookie when he got starting time.
Josh Palmer feels very kind of accurate. Like that would be
for the size of my Michael Wilson bags. Josh Palmer would be a win at this point. I think
it'd be a win. Yeah. Cause that's all
Palmer
it is.
Was,
like he gets
Palmer was a shitty prospect. Actually, Palmer was not a good prospect, but
he was a third round pick. And
it was kind of similar because the film. I remember the film guys liked Palmer.
The film guys liked him, but the analytics guys didn't like him, and everyone blamed it on the school.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So at our next pick, we can lock up one of our quarterback stacks. We're gonna have either Tannehill, Bryce Young, or Desmond Ridder. I think will be the three options there. Any thoughts on that debate in a Josh Allen team?
Why do we need to do it this round? Why don't we put
because the quarterbacks go. The quarterback. I have noticed this the last couple of days. Like if Stafford goes, that's your canary in the coal mine because there's no reason to take Stafford right now. That you and there. I mean,
yeah, that's the thing is like I just don't want to risk like this guy only has one quarterback. I just think it's kind of playing it cute to risk.
Do you want to debase yourself by taking?
Do we want to have to take like Stroud? Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo or Kyler unstacked. I think we should. I mean, we're also going to be taking Deontay Hardy in this team. No one's going to take that guy either. So
Ridder.
What do you think, Ridder? I like Ridder here.
Okay, yeah, let's take Ridder.
Siegel loves Ridder.
Yeah, I feel like they both. I was trying to think through, like, we kind of just want a guy who's going to be starting and not getting benched, but you can make arguments for both getting benched.
Well, if Ridder gets benched, I forget who made this point. I think it was Peter, but that if Ridder gets benched, he's not going to get benched quickly. It's going to be a lot of bad games and 6 really bad games, 5 really bad games, 4 really bad games that your 4th round Drake London team is having fun staying poor if Ridder gets benched.
So how I'd play it here structurally, guys, is one more wide receiver and one more running back. I think, given we waited so long to take our RB2, I don't think this team needs 9 wide receivers since we got
I agree.
Treylon Burks as our wide receiver 5 here. So I'd take Hardy here because I just don't want to get sniped on that correlation piece, and then we'll just see what gross running back falls to us.
I kind of wanted to
bunch of
take
guys.
Hardy over Ritter, to be completely honest, just because
Okay.
we had the Tannehill backstop.
Yeah.
So I definitely would like to take Hardy here.
Yeah.
I think maybe a third tight end is also in play.
Yeah.
It's in play. I was thinking Knox would have been interesting too. We maybe should have considered that.
I
more.
take those guys together.
Yeah.
I take Knox and Kincaid together, which is like the ultimate handcuck.
I think though structurally, like we spent 2 pretty high capital tight end picks. Like,
That's the one thing I cannot have work. If Knox and Kincaid is what you need, I legit might like close down Legendary Upside and like move to Thailand.
Pat's
and
gonna become an insurance salesman if Knox and Kincaid are on the winning
I was
team.
just like, you're gonna have to find me. Like 20 years from now, I'm gonna have a beard and someone's be like, Pat, like find me on vacation on some random island.
Can you pull up one of these comments from the chat? Can you pull up the Kyron is your upside late running back play? Fundamental misunderstanding of what Kyron Williams is. Kyron Williams is not an upside play in any way. He is an unathletic. He is Myles Gaskin. He is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He is what Kyron Williams is if you on a Brees team, on a Javonte team, on a Jonathan Taylor team. You just need a guy who is going to be active and playing in games for the first month of the season and can maybe get, 10, 11, 12, 13 points. Kyron is not. Sean Tucker is an upside running back play. Keontae Ingram, I think you could argue is an yes. Yeah.
He's we can't adjust these rosters. All the points need to be drafted.
Zamir White, much better upside play. Yeah. 100%. Zamir White, a better upside play.
On this build, I think you can kind of argue what we need, honestly. Like we're kind of a little bit thin for RB2 points, but I would be leaning on the upside over the Kyron type on this build because we got to assume Rashad White is going to be.
Oh, playing. I meant to read these Deontay Hardy stats off earlier because I haven't really done any research in them despite completely packing my bags. He's basically one of these guys who, because he was not like a super elite. He didn't go to like a big high school and he wasn't like a 5-star prospect or whatever. He scored 17 return touchdowns in D2. He set the D2 records for all-time scrimmage yards. He had over 6,000 all-purpose yards. He was like, the comp for him would be like a Miles Austin type guy, like a guy who just went to one of these small schools and just was like unreal. I feel so good about the Deontay Hardy bet. Like he just like does it all.
The thing about Hardy is it's 2025, and over the 2023 and 2024, there was no production, but then Rashid Shaheed ends up on the Bills. That's the bet. It's like super easy. Literally just Rashid Shaheed didn't do much for 2 years and then finds his way as a starter on the Bills.
But he was so Hardy. Hardy's had some injuries as a member of the Saints, but he, like when he was available, I mean, he was good last year. Like he was a productive player for them last year, and he's like a stud returner, which the stud returning doesn't matter so much for fantasy, but it was one of the first really useful RotoViz tools where it was like these guys who are really good returners that correlates well with future fantasy production. Because I guess just because it is a number, it shows vision and like and agility, probably
football athleticism.
Yes, yeah. So
let's talk through our decision here. These are sort of the running backs that I'm interested in that are still available. The Tucker thing is interesting.
On Tucker with White.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because we got White at a pretty big value.
It's a good. I mean, I would probably take Dowdle, but Tucker seems fine too.
Yeah,
I'm actually okay. So we have Christian McCaffrey who's going to smash, and he's not only going to smash, he's going to smash in week 17. So we were looking for like one other running back score. I actually kind of don't mind
Tucker got taken.
Sean Tucker. Oh, okay. Well, there you
So
go.
I don't know if these guys are watching, but they're just demolishing my queue right now. But I would probably go Dowdle or Ingram here.
I'm Ingram.
Ingram. Yeah, it's fine with
You
me.
guys want Ingram?
Ingram
Okay.
is just more there is literally zero question that he's the second running back there. Whereas with Dowdle, you could be like, well, Ronald Jones is suspended. Juice Vaughn's going to get the package stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Seems
My only
Zero
thing is
reason
like,
for them to play James Conner at the end of the year.
Yeah, I get it. I think they're both fine picks. I'm happy to get outvoted. I would have been Dowdle there just because we're talking about Dallas Cowboys versus Arizona Cardinals, but I don't think Ingram's a terrible pick by any means. I get the certainty there for sure. We did take some Philadelphia players, so little mini correlation. With
imagine Goddard, Keontae Ingram is this year's Ertz Algier.
Dude,
All right,
the Ertz Algier thing, you were right. It was just
I was right.
It was just McBride Algier. It was just the young tight end.
Isn't that so funny though that like the meme of last best ball summer like actually came through?
It came through in a huge way. Like Algier was a smash, and the correlated tight end was a smash.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All
If,
right.
have you guys had this? That I've been doing less Week 17 correlation just because there are so many guys I want to be drafting. Like there are like so many guys I'm just trying to get my exposures on that I'm doing like less Week 17. Like as my player takes have solidified, I'm just like obviously still doing the team stacks, but like less bring back type stuff.
Yeah, I've had some trouble with the bringbacks. I know what you mean. I'm just like, I'm taking this guy, I'm taking this guy, I'm taking this guy. Also, things are getting a little looser in the rooms, and people are going a little more
so
crazy.
Loose.
You know, they're taking the quarterback, like they're blowing up your stacks. And so I've been having to pivot. So I have more kind of like unstacked game stacks. And also I've just been timing out and taking unstacked quarterbacks occasionally because of the internet out here. So yeah, that has happened.
Yeah. I've always I definitely prioritize Week 17, but I always kind of think of it as a tiebreaker. As I learned in Best Ball Brunch, Week 17 is just a tiebreaker. If you guys watched that video, they were pretty clear about that in the intro. So.
Still haven't watched it, but Levitan was tweeting that he had to watch it. He had to watch it to do a solo pod because every question he got was about it.
Did he watch the whole thing?
I don't think
I feel like that's
back yet.
That's like Levitan couldn't have concocted a better solo pod like topic in a
It's
lab.
really
like,
good for his brand.
It's really perfect for his brand. The Best Ball Brunch solo pod.
I can't believe he hasn't done like a watch along.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's some kind of structural issues I had with their draft. They reached on Adam Thielen, but besides that, it was a pretty solid team overall. We can maybe review it next year on ADP Chasing. Could be the first episode in February.
Okay.
Anyways, let's do a quick recap of this team and then get out of here. So we went with a 2-6-8-2 build. Got the Bills and Atlanta stacked up here. Kick it to you first, Davis. What are your thoughts on this team?
I think this is a good team. It's we're betting on Kincaid. What does Donovan Peoples-Jones do for this team? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Bad pick.
Bad pick.
Should have taken
Wandale
there.
haters.
Wandale is gonna lead the NFC in targets per route run, and the haters are just gonna be crying and rending their garments on the streets.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough scene.
Yeah.
I do.
In the targets per route run leagues, that's going to be really nice on his 11 routes per game. That's going to be really sweet.
No, you don't keep guys that good off the field. He is going to dust off Hodgins and Slayton and all these losers so fast.
God.
Wandale Robinson per pound more dog than DK Metcalf. That's just a fact.
Whoa, so much more dog than DK Metcalf. The thing about the running back room, I do really like doing this on McCaffrey teams where you get one dust ball. Our dust ball is Rashad White. And then you just take nothing but guys who have, I guess Hubbard maybe is kind of a dust ball in the sense that I don't think he's that good, but can get carries. But a Chain, Algier, and Ingram are like exactly the types of bets you want to layer in there. And also the two Philly guys with Josh Allen, it is just a fun What if Jalen Hurts misses a playoff game again? But Gardner or who's their back? Mariota. Never mind. I'm taking this back. Mariota's
No,
Mariota's
he's not their backup. It's a Heineke.
No. Eagles backup. Like what happened in the playoffs last year, where Hurts missed a game, but all the Eagles skill position players did fine because Minshew scored 30 points against the Cowboys.
The other thing is that like this, it can be optimal to have Hurts, Goddard, and Smith, and we could still win because we have Josh Allen. So he can score like 3 points less than Hurts, and like this, there's going to be enough differentiation between the rest of the lineup and those lineups that have like how many Hurts, Goddard, Smith teams are in the final? Like 4.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. People overthink that of like you need this perfect team to win. Pat's team last year did not have Mike. Like if you show me the Week 17 box scores in advance, I would say you need Mike Evans. You need the Brady Evans stack. You did not have Evans. You didn't even need Brady in your lineup, and you still won. So people overthink 400-person tournament where the ownership and rostership is going to be all scrambled up because of what happens in the regular season, Week 15, Week 16. Like Josh Allen can actually be outscored by Hurts by 5 points, and this team can still win.
they can still
right?
win. Yeah.
It's not that crazy. Obviously, if he gets outscored by 10, 15, 20, that's where it's like, okay, this team's dead. But yeah, we just need him to like stay close with Hurts, which is totally viable.
And it's also possible that like it's Smith that you need. Hurts has a great game, but Allen and Kincaid go off, and I get to take a victory lap on Dalton Kincaid, which is just, now that's the only thing I want.
Yeah, that would be a funny reverse victory lap. What I also like about this team is I think it's actually, if you take a tight end in the Kittle, Goddard, Pitts, like elite but not quite elite tier, I think it's actually a little bit thin if you just pair that guy with like your super late Tyler Conklin or Cade Otton or whatever, because I think like these types of guys, Goddard, Kittle, can actually be like pretty low advance rate if they just have sort of disappointing regular seasons, and it's going to be hard to sneak them through. I think by pairing him with like another,
hate taking Goddard most of the time, honestly.
I love Goddard this year, but
I like Goddard too. I don't think I have a ton of them, but it's only because I still was taking Pitts, which anytime you can take the fourth target guy.
Anytime you can take Matt Collins as direct backup, you gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
Anytime you take guys going to run less routes than Jonnu Smith and Parker Hesse.
Oh my God. The Jonnu Smith bit, like coming back alive, like them trading the 7th round pick for Jonnu Smith and him like unironically running routes is just going to be awful.
Yeah. But 11% Goddard for me. I was in.
Yeah, I was around that for Goddard. Yeah, I think it's a good team. I think, if I'm going to mix in some Rachaad White shares, this is the way to do it.
Past ADP and literally forced to do so.
Literally, my hands are tied behind my back, blindfolded. That's usually my preferred way to take Rachaad
Past
White.
ADP and kidnapped. That's how Sam's going to take Rachaad White.
Yeah. I guess I disagree with like DPJ. I think you guys are wrong about DPJ. I think he's a smash at 171. You're just getting the Browns starting wide receiver for free. Like
he just isn't really that good.
He had 800 yards. He had 800 yards last year.
I mean, Cedric Tillman's coming for that deep threat role, isn't he? Marquise Goodwin they talked up a ton as a deep threat, and he's back. He's back with the team. He had blood clot issues, and now he's back. So I don't know. I think DPJ could end up as a rotational guy to end the year. He's not that good.
Yeah, I guess so.
What do you win when you win? What do you win when you're right that Donovan Peoples-Jones is the Zay Jones of the Browns offense?
I do have 7% DPJ, so maybe I should be on Sam's side here.
I wonder if I've taken him once.
He's good. Like he had 800 yards on the Jacoby Brissett, like very low pass volume. Then the Deshaun Watson absolute shit show offense. I get Elijah Moore wasn't there, but I don't think that changes what DPJ is doing on this team.
Well, it's two guys, right? It's Tillman and Moore who can put pressure on his targets.
Yeah, but I mean Tillman's just kind of in the Anthony Schwartz stage.
And I guess
for me,
the larger thing for me is that I think that Week 17 game is like maybe the least attractive Week 17 game. Like two run heavy teams in bad weather. Like it's people are they're laughing about it now. They are not going to be laughing when the total for that game is 33.5. Like they are not going to think it's funny.
Davis, if you have 0 teams in the finals across all your teams, but there's a bad weather game, are you gonna victory lap that for Cleveland?
Spike
Jets?
the football.
Yeah.
Spike just be like, oh yeah, you guys drafted all these Jets players. Congrats.
Davis, why you have to tweet out the Jets Browns total being 33, because if it actually is 33, that's going to be an all-time victory lap. And if it's like a high total, you'll just delete the tweet. So it's a win-win.
I gotta see. There's got to be a place that has Week 17 lines up. Oh, it's a Thursday night game too. Oh my god, people!
Shit.
Oh, the people have been hoodwinked, dude.
Oh no!
Not the Thursday, December 28th outdoor game.
No. Oh,
So you're saying the Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Aaron Rodgers stacks not looking so good anymore?
I don't even take Garrett Wilson. I mean, I would only say that at the end of a 2-hour podcast where no one could hold me accountable for it, but I don't even really take Garrett Wilson.
Oh, Davis, I'm with you on that. I was forced. Adams was gone. All those guys are gone. That's the only reason I take him. Should we review that team, or what were you gonna say, Pat?
Well, no, I think this is kind of a fun thing of like who, and I don't know. I need to think of who this actually is, but who's like the cool, like sexy player that like you never really take. Like Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson for me.
Yeah.
It's not even that I think Garrett Wilson is awesome. I think he's great. It's just that he goes ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown sometimes, and I always take St. Brown. And if St. Brown's gone, I almost always take Adams, because Adams has like all the outs, right? He's got Jimmy Garoppolo plays to Derek Carr's level. He plays the Week 17 game in the Dome. Like it's all set up for Adams. Other than that, he's 30.
I think mine might be like the one I don't want to like talk about. At least one of them would be Christian Watson. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I got a little nervous, and I never really took
him. Someone said
Wow.
he's Green Bay Packers Chase Claypool, and I can't unsee it.
Yeah,
I
ended up with 6%.
I might have been the person that said it, but
I got.
It was you. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was you.
I've been hearing that a lot. Yeah, who said that?
It's even eerie down to the fact that Watson scored 9 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, the same way Claypool had 9 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
I'm
weird.
not proud of it, but I have a Christian Watson semi fade,
soft fade.
So that Claypool take, Davis, I can't cite the numbers, but I think JJ Zach Reason actually did like a breakdown of that on his pod, and his conclusion was like their rookie years are not that similar. Like Watson's was in a completely different tier from Claypool's. I do the stylistic comp though. I totally get, like they scored rushing touchdowns. They're these kind of freak athletes that were sort of raw from a hands route running perspective, but I'm still very bullish on Watson. I do see like Pat, you being at 6% on him. Like I think that's reasonable, like given his price. I don't think that's a crazy take, but I'm pretty in on Watson this year. The one for me, the sexy player that I'm not in on and don't really like to talk about.
Sam just unfolds a huge scroll.
In fact,
everyone.
I want to make one more point on Browns Jets before you do this.
Yeah.
Nowhere will even post a total for it. No one will even post a look ahead total for it because they don't want to get hit with the bad weather. They don't want to get hit with an unpredictable bad weather and have a bunch of people who have tickets of under 39.5 and they have to move the line to 32 the week of.
Hey, listen, as long as there's enough win for just 1 million short checkdowns to a fully healthy Breece Hall, I think I'll survive it.
It's you could paint it as bullish for Breece, right? That he just gets 22 carries.
You prefer it to be high scoring, but it could be bullish. Sure.
Yeah. So mine, my take, the sexy player that I don't
JSN.
take. No. I have let's do my other one first. That's maybe a separate discussion, but Jalen Waddle is a player who I have 2% of. So a couple things on Waddle.
Wow.
One, I think he was priced in a range a lot of the offseason where you had the choice of Tony Pollard, you had the choice of Nick Chubb very early on. So I was not clicking him when that was there. Now I have been taking him a little bit more as those guys moved up. Number 2, I think there's this we did this last year with Waddle and Tyreek. It's this is really like a 1A, 1B situation. Tyreek and Waddle. Waddle had 60 more targets. Hill had 60 more targets than Waddle last year. Waddle ran insanely hot on efficiency, which is a good. We do want to see that.
What if that's just who he is, though? I mean, I'm with you on the early fade, but I don't see how you are not taking him now.
He's been such a smash in the.
How are you not taking him now? Are you just taking Olave over him every time?
No, I'm taking. So what I'm doing is, I think I have 2% Waddle. I do take Devonta Smith over him because I think Devonta Smith is actually the more well-rounded, better wide receiver, and I think being attached to the Eagles offense is better than being attached to the Dolphins. So this is the second
player take. I don't have an opinion, but structurally, don't you find that hard because it's just harder to get a quarterback stack with your high capital guys, whereas it's much easier when you take Waddle?
So the thing is, I think maybe it's a little bit I always tell myself, if I take Devonta here at 20, I have a chance at the hurt Devonta
and
stack.
And then you never get him?
But I do have a decent bit of it, actually. But yeah,
that gets too. You get it about 40% of the time.
You do get it some percentage of the time. And I just think, I think Jalen Hurts' passing stats are going to really spike this year. I think so. The Tua stuff, this is the second part of it. I'm just not a Dolphins believer. And this is more you can say this is less analytical and more just my own personal eye test and vibe. The Dolphins offense that was running through the NFL for the first half of the season last year, I don't think is going to be replicated this year. Defense is adjusted to that. You could also blame it on Tua's injuries, his concussions. I get that. But second half of the year, that Dolphins offense with Tua was really struggling once the defenses adjusted. And one of the big adjustments is they were playing Waddle with much more man press coverage instead of just letting him run free in zone. And Waddle, you look at the reception perception stuff, Waddle's actually not an elite man press coverage beater. He's a small wide receiver. So once teams made that adjustment, he actually struggled a little bit, and the Dolphins as a whole kind of tanked. So I just think Waddle, he's an awesome player, but I think he's vastly overrated as a talent. Give me Devonta Smith over him. So that's honestly where the fade comes down to is I just will not take him really over Devonta Smith. And it sort of comes down to that. If he was priced I've mixed in T Higgins more as he's fallen to 27, 28. I think that's the fair price from Waddle. And I just want that Devonta Smith stack instead of the Tua one.
I don't agree with this particular take, but it is going to be funny, how many takes like this are going to be completely right. We're totally. So set in stuff you cannot take Waddle over Devontae Smith, and it's going to be Devontae Smith could crush Waddle. There's T Higgins could crush Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean?
These micro ADP differences where you're I can't believe that, and then it just ends up being so right.
Not even close.
It is. I was
so many of those.
I'm going to do a thread probably later today, maybe tomorrow, about just stuff from week 1 last year that just proved to be hilariously non-signal. Devonta Smith going 0-0-0 against the Commanders in week 1 last year. So funny in retrospect. There were 10-team leagues last year where Devonta Smith got dropped in week 1 where they were no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with this guy. So funny.
I mean, if you wanted to do numbers, you got to tweet it out Monday.
Okay, I guess we're doing it.
Yeah, that would have been a fun. We should have done a take purge or something. One of those episodes where we just fire off all of our hot. Because the Waddle thing, honestly, this is a take that's I'm not advocating people fade Waddle because I see how
that's why I wanted to bring it up because it's there's another guy for me. I have 4% George Pickens. And I don't.
Oh God, that feel like that could be painful. I feel like you might. Yeah,
that's why you don't hear me talk about it.
Well, I guess the thing is that's easy. It's actually much easier to imagine based on where he's going now. But I know you've been drafting since May, So there's got to be a lot of teams where you passed on George Pickens at like pick 81 or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't hammer him in the 7th. I didn't hammer him in the late 6th, and then he got priced up, and I was like, I don't feel like chasing this, and I just stayed behind. And it's like, so I'm not like proud of the way I played it, but I also am not a huge believer in the player. Like I think he could be good, but I'm not. I never got quite on board with all the steam. It was kind of like Ridley, like where I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm in. And then everyone's like, great, he's 6 picks more expensive than the price you thought. Like, I guess I need to come to terms with that now. And Ridley is another guy like that for me, where I never really got on board. And I kind of wish I only have 3% Ridley, and I don't feel great about that.
You didn't see that training camp clip? It just passed. You just saw it, and it was like nothing to you. I
mean, that one could definitely hurt. The Ridley, because I didn't want to have a big fade on Ridley, but I thought he was a little priced up at the 3-4 turn, and then he went to the to the late 2nd, and I never corrected.
Yeah, I wish I was like mixing Ridley in at that 3-4. I had a pretty similar experience to you, Pat, but I just like chased it up more. I'm just like, I don't want to be out on Ridley.
Chasing up. A lot of research has found this. Gretch has done some stuff on this, but a lot of people have finding out that actually a lot of the time ADP risers don't rise far enough, that the market gets excited on them, but then at a certain point they just say, oh, whoa, hold the brakes. Maybe that's not the case with Ridley, but I could easily see us looking back and being like, wait, we were just taking DeAndre Hopkins over George Pickens all off season for what reason were we doing that?
Yeah. I could see that too.
Yeah,
that's another thing with like,
that.
Back to the Waddle thing, like Tua's clear number 2 wide receiver, in my opinion, and what happened last year compared to Tyreek goes ahead of Trevor Lawrence's number 1 wide receiver. That could look really crazy in retrospect. Like, obviously, I could be wrong about that, but we could be like, so wait, we just like we shot Ridley up the board, but we said this is where he stops. Like, we're still taking these number 2 wide receivers over him. That could look,
it's a good point.
You never know in retrospect, but. Anyways, man, hell of a summer doing this show with you guys. 2 hours in, I'm
gonna be so fucking depressed if I end all of this and don't have a team in any final. If I just spent my whole summer like drafting until my eyes and fingers bleed. I got my screen time report yesterday from this last week of like really doing drafts. 8 hours and 36 minutes of screen time the last week. I mean, what the fuck? God.
So here's what you do, Davis. Well, this is a next summer tip. You turn your screen so that it never times out, so that it stays on always, right? Because that's actually a helpful feature for when you're trying to do work in draft. You can put the phone right there, and you can just like use the phone and then work on your computer. But also, your screen time report is now meaningless. It's not accurate.
It's 16 hours a day.
16 hours, sure. But that's not real. And it might be 14 hours of real screen time, but you don't have to live with that. You can't. My big
wish for next off season is that the DraftKings UI makes drafting on mobile just nice and easy, just like as seamless as Underdog. Because if the notifications and the app worked the same way as good as Underdog, I mean, I could draft even more teams, actually, because I really put off doing DK drafts because it's not fun to do them on your phone. So that would be amazing.
Don't pause my music, DK. Don't pause it, please.
Well, you
Give
can,
me a notification that doesn't pause my music.
You can turn that off.
You can turn it off, but then you get no notification.
No, you just got to go into sound and haptics. It's in the little notification.
No, I know.
I feel like I'm having deja vu. I feel like I've heard.
Wait, you can change the sound and haptics to. You can turn off sound and haptics, but there's a. You
can receive notifications, but have no noise come through.
Oh my god! All right.
Pat figured this out on Monday.
Thanks for telling me this on fucking Labor Day.
Oh, amazing! Glad that we were. I'm glad that we were able to cover that. But we'll remember this for next year. It's really not even that hard, Pat. Yeah,
I'm jumping in the app and changing it.
Yeah.
DraftKings.
Because I listen to podcasts while I do it, and it never pauses.
Wow.
It's a good way. It's a good way to end. It's a good way to end, guys. It was a pleasure. I hope. I mean, just like one final between the show. I think Pete said it best the other day. He's like, if we all have a communal team to root for in Week 17 this year, it'll be that given the size of the contest, 1.1 million entrants on DraftKings, 660,000 on Underdog. I think getting one team through feels good.
Let's think something, huh?
I agree. Yeah, I'm feeling really good about our shared teams. But yeah, last thing I'll say, I had a blast doing the show with you guys this off season. I think during the season, we're not going to have a weekly show. I guess we haven't really officially announced that, but
we'll do something. We'll figure something out. Portfolio review, something like that.
Something.
We will for sure.
We'll do something. So it's not goodbye forever, but thanks to everyone who joined us this off season. This is the most fun I've had doing content in fantasy football. Really good engagement from the chat, from the YouTube commenters, from people on Twitter. Got great reception for the show. So this was a great experience for me. And yeah, thanks to both Davis and Pat for joining me on this. This was a lot of fun. And like we said, hopefully we just get one sweat for one of us, get one team to the finals, and we'll be back. But to everyone, good luck to your last couple of days of drafting. We will see you at some point into the future. Peace.